Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here as part of Foothill's evening panel series. My name is Colette Sims. I'm the Director of Enrollment, and you're joining us this Wednesday for our virtual evening panel to hear from our parents, the ones that are living this experience with their students. We're so excited to have you here today. So before we get started, though, really quickly, I will be co-hosting this with my colleague, Director of Marketing and Communications, Ann Henry. And so she will be helping with the chat box. If you are here live, we welcome you to put your questions in the chat box for our current parents. And we also have our head of school, Mike Silva, here, and he'd like to say a few words before we begin.
Thank you, Colette, and good evening, everybody. Thank you also for taking time out of your evening to spend with us. You're in for a treat with these parents who are on the call. These are veteran Foothill parents who've been with us for a long time. It's been our pleasure watching their children grow up through the years at our school, and in some cases, and you'll hear some of that tonight, move on to wonderful high schools as a result of their Foothill education. On that note, I would like to say that our goal at Foothill is that your children will love learning. It's that simple. They'll love school. They'll love learning. They will leave Foothill with the confidence to be leaders wherever they go, and wherever they go, that they'll be prepared to be successful there. I'm in my 15th year as head of school, and we work with a terrific board of trustees. We also, again, have fantastic support from a wonderfully diverse and very involved group of families and parents. And so you'll hear some about that tonight. We certainly encourage you, as Colette said, to put questions in the chat. If you have any questions about what you hear this evening, or what you might not hear this evening, so we can address them all for you right here. So again, welcome, and it's a pleasure to be with you this evening.
Next slide.
So sorry, it's not going forward. Why is it not going? I'm sorry, my apologies. Why is it not going?
That's okay. I actually think if you're okay, Anne, I think we should just get into the introductions.
Okay, great.
So with that, we can stop sharing the PowerPoint, and we're going to go into introductions. As I said, we have 4 parents here today who are going to tell you a little bit about them, their kids, their families, and why they chose Foothill. So first off, I'd like to start with you, Luke.
Hello, good evening. My name is Luke Stedman. I'm a father of 4. My wife and I have 4 kids, although 2, our youngest 2, one of which just started high school. 2 of them went to Foothill and actually started in Seedling. So they were in the preschool all the way up through my youngest now in 8th grade. Jack and Violet, I should offer that.
And Luke, I know it was a few years ago now that your students are on the older end, having graduated from 8th grade and having an 8th grader, but do you remember initially, why you decided for Foothill or something that was important for your family when you made that decision?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, we have 4 kids. The oldest 2, we live in Claremont. The oldest 2 enjoyed the Claremont public schools, and we did as well. But when we thought about what the 2 youngest, there were a lot of learnings for us about the public school experience, and one of which was parent commitment. It's, I think, kind of a unique, you'll hear a lot of great things about Foothill tonight, but I will tell you that one of the experiences that we had at the Seedling School, other than just being a wonderful, warm, safe place for our children, was the fact that the learning opportunities, like Mike said, right, the way the school encourages the students to love learning and gives them opportunities to lead, and all the different opportunities they have in terms of activities and so forth. The one thing that we walked away with just experiencing the Seedling School was that our kids loved going to school, and they were not as happy during the breaks and holidays as they were when they were in school. So I'll simply say that we weren't expecting to go to to send our youngest to Foothill after the Seedling School, but we learned very quickly that we would be missing out on an opportunity. And I can talk a lot about that as we go on tonight, but I would say that that is simply it was a very simple and easy decision for us. And I should add that it's really about the parent commitment. The difference is that not only are you're buying into a school that is going to develop your children, but you're buying into a community. And the difference for us was the parents at Foothill versus the parents in the public school. It's a whole other level of commitment that we appreciated and our children have appreciated.
Great. Thank you so much. And we'll be hearing more from you later too. Grissa, can I have you introduce yourself next? If you introduce yourself, your kids' names, their grades, and why you initially chose Foothill.
Yes. I'm Grissa. I have two boys. They're sixth grade and the second grade. My kids, just like Luke said, my kids, they just love school every day. We have been with Foothill for 8 years, but every day I need to really be careful what the time I need to pick them up. If I pick them earlier, we will have a long conversation in the car. They don't want to go back home. They just want to stay with school. And when Chris was in the 5th grade with Mrs. Smith, she teaches them grammar, language arts, and spelling. She always follows up their homework and reminds of the kids the deadlines. And whenever they need help with a question, she always gives them clues and hints to the questions. The kids really supported by their teachers at a school. And at our parent and teachers conferences, Mrs. Smith gently pointed out that Chris was very interested in the picture book in class, but it was not challenging enough for his level. Then she suggested Chris keep reading and try stepping up to tougher reading. Then I had a conversation with Chris at home, and he kept reading. A couple of months later, he joined the school, the Millionaire Club for the reading program, and reached his level. He has a very good habits for his reading. And another reason outside of the classroom, the way the school builds connections between families and the administrators has been meaningful for us, not just for our kids at a school, even included the family, the parents. There are so many ways to get involved through volunteering. I was a room parent and was a part of BWO, joined the board this year. I just really appreciated this opportunity and I really enjoyed it. Every time I take part in school activities, it is a great opportunity. I feel I have learned a lot from the school administrators and the parents around me. They just really support me and guide me. And it is also an excellent way to understand the school better. I think Foothill offers a comprehensive academic curriculum that builds a strong foundation for our kids and develops their personality. We are a bilingual family. At home, we don't speak English, but I feel my kids, they learn everything from the school. I just really appreciate that. They just help my school grow up a lot. So as a new immigration family, I've come to understand a new education system also. It is a great community to connect with our kids and all the families together. So I really like Foothill.
Great. Thank you so much, Grissa. And really quick, you mentioned being a bilingual family. Would you mind saying just a hello to our families listening in Mandarin, and if they have questions in Mandarin, that they'd be welcome to contact you?
Yes, I'm happy to do that. 我是 Grace 姚，我的2个小朋友在6年级和2年级，我们很开心在学校度过了8年的时间。如果有任何可以帮到您的地方，也希望您联系我，跟学校联系起来。谢谢。
Thank
Yes.
you so much. Thanks,
Yeah.
Grissa. All right, we have our third parent here. Julie, would you mind introducing yourself and your family, your son's grade, and initially why you decided on Foothill?
Hi, my name is Julie Song. My husband and I are both educators, so when we were looking for a school for my son Benji, who's now in fourth grade, we actually looked at quite a few different schools, and one of the biggest priorities that we had was academic rigor, and we were really impressed with how committed Foothill was to academic excellence. They really emphasized creativity, critical thinking. They had excellent STEM programs. And they also really encouraged intellectual curiosity, which was such a really important factor for my husband and I. We were also really impressed with how articulate and professional the young students were. So when we first started looking at elementary schools and looked at Foothill, we were introduced to an ambassador, and I believe he was in third grade at the time. And he was so well spoken, and he showed us around the school. And I left there thinking, that third grader speaks better than I do. Like, that is incredible. And the students really are encouraged to be excellent public speakers, take on leadership roles. My son has been an ambassador in first grade or second grade, and then last year he was in student council in third grade. And I really love that they really focus community engagement, really kind of giving back to the school and being a leader within their community. And mostly the community was a big sticking point for us. We loved that Foothill really feels like a tight-knit family. Everyone knows each other's name. We all kind of like bond over one another. We know each other's kids. Our kids are like growing up together. Since Benji's been with Seedling since he was 3, this is now our 7th year in the Foothill family. Um, and I think that we all share a common philosophy of doing what's best for our kids and our community. And that has been such an important sticking factor for us. And it makes us want to come back every single year. They often say raising a child takes a village. And I often feel like Foothill community is really our village. So that's why we're here.
Thank you so much for sharing. Jennifer, can you go next? Can you introduce yourself and your daughter's names and their grades and why your family initially chose Foothill?
Hi, everybody. My name is Jennifer Diaz, and I have 2 girls at Foothill. I have a 4th grader also with Benji as well. Her name is Paulina. She's 9 years old, will be 10 later this year. No, actually, no, sorry, next year. And then my youngest is Alessandra Diaz, and she's in 1st grade, and she is 6 years old as well. And then we joined Foothill through the Seedling. We both girls went through the Seedling program. Paulina was just about 2.5, actually probably 3 as well. So we've been with Foothill since the Seedling years. And what I remember most was just that new parent worry and anxieties, like, where am I going to send this, my baby? You always want that best for them. And who are you going to feel safe being with them? And I remember walking into Seedling in this cute red building, which is, almost fairy tale like, but meeting with the principal, Mrs. McDaniels, and then meeting Paulina's first teacher, Mrs. Talia Shaw, who was eventually Alessandra's Seedling teacher too. Just the warmth that I felt walking in at Seedling, I knew that my daughters were going to feel that. I know that they had a lot of that nurturing, safe environment. And then again, what my peers said also, there was still some academics in there that were very appealing, and it was something that really drew me in for my girls. And then obviously as they transitioned to the elementary school, it was just hard to not be part of it. It was drawn to it again for the academic rigor and the way that Foothill is able to balance that and provide that. Again, we also are a bilingual family. We are primarily Spanish speaking at home, and knowing that my girls feel comfortable at their school if they're speaking in Spanish and if they look different as well, and knowing that our culture may differ from their peers and they all just love to get along, and having that emotional safety there means a lot, was what appealed to us and what meant a lot for us in selecting the school for our girls. That was all I had to say.
Okay, it looks like Colette might be a little frozen.
Oh, okay. I wasn't
So
sure.
I think I'll take over a little bit.
But I'll welcome the families just as Grissa did. Bienvenidos a todos. Mi nombre es Jennifer Díaz y si tienen alguna pregunta, por favor, tómense la libertad de contactarnos y visitar la escuela también. Gracias.
Thank you, Jennifer. That's so sweet of you. I think that that's something really touching to hear from parents. So I'm hoping maybe Luke, maybe you could throw in one more visual on that. On this call, we have so many cultures, but really school-wide, that is very much a core value here at Foothill, that we have so many cultures at our school. Can you talk a little bit about how you felt in that arena, like the value that you see there?
I absolutely. It's interesting as generations pass, we're more open to different to challenging our perceptions of the world and so forth. And I can't tell you how many times I am challenged by my own daughter, eighth grader, with just the openness, the acceptance, the level of maturity that she has in collaborating in having relationships with all of the different cultures that that Foothill welcomes. And I love the fact that Foothill expects and demands respect for each individual, that celebrates the diversity that each family brings. And, again, my hope is for my child to be greater than I am at some point, whether it's academic or social or accomplishment in their career. But at the end of the day, I see Foothill developing beautiful people. And that is what I think is the charm in Foothill.
Thank you. Thanks, Luke. We have another question in the chat. So as Colette joins us back again, I wanted to cover that one really quick. One of the parents asked, for those parents who had children in the Seedling program, did you have your children in daycare or any other structured dependent care program prior to that? If so, did you find it helpful for your child to transition? And Julie, I know you answered in the chat, but as we go to YouTube, they won't be able to see that. So would you mind talking to that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So we started Benji at the children's school, which is at the Claremont McKenna Colleges. It's no longer there. But when he first started there, he was 2, and the program was more play-based. So there was not a lot of structure. My husband and I joked that it was the Wild Wild West. The kids just and the Lord of the Flies, right? The kids just kind of ran rampant, which was fine, I think, from 2 to 3. But I think knowing my son and what he needed, I think Seedling was a much better fit because it was much more structured and a little more organized. And I really appreciated that as well. But I do think just having the exposure to other kids and the socialization that really helped transition to Seedling. But Seedling was fantastic. So much.
Thank you, Julie. Appreciate that. Colette, are you on with us again? Oh, nope, she's not. She's frozen again. Okay, I have another question then. I'll keep going. Again, these are coming from people calling in and messaging me on the side in our group here. One was, and I don't know that any of you have had behavioral issues with your children. So just to be clear, this isn't targeted at anyone. But the question is, how does the school handle behavioral issues? Do any of the parents feel like they could answer that, not on your own, but maybe you've seen in the classroom how they handle it?
I mean, I could probably comment. I'll say that in all the years we've been there, I think maybe I could count it on a couple of fingers that my Jack or his sister Violet had ever experienced other children with behavioral issues. And I think, it was one of the reasons we chose a private school is because we know that the school will or I would expect that a private school would not accept unacceptable behavior from other students. It's part of being in a safe environment. There had been there was an incident, and I think, you know, without going into details, I was very happy with how the school handled it. There are some, and I'll tell you why I'm proud of it. I believe that children are young and innocent and can make honest mistakes. And it's good for us as a community to give them love and if that's a second chance or whatever it may be, to use it as a teaching moment and to give them the opportunity to fail and to grow. In an instance where it could be very egregious, I witnessed a student leave. So for me, that's all I needed to know. But again, I could count really, I mean, maybe once or twice in the 9 years that we've been associated with Foothill. You just don't really see it because the kids, you know, these are really great curated class of kids.
Thank you. Thanks, Luke. I appreciate that. It's tough for parents, right? You always want to know, how does that happen when you're looking at a school, but you can't really tell unless you talk to someone who's been on the inside. So it's really good to hear what the parents' impression of that was.
And Henry, and I want to say to our current parents, I'm so sorry, but I think I'm back. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, great. Well, I can jump in. I don't know if there's another question in the chat box or if I can jump in and get back to some of our other questions.
Go for it, Colette.
Yeah. If it's okay, I want to ask Jennifer a question. I know, your daughters are in the lower school, and as a parent, I think there's a lot of value in knowing that your kids love to come to school every day. I think that's something that Luke just said. So, Jennifer, can you talk a little bit about, what you're hearing from your daughters and what they say they love about school and what you're appreciating hearing from home about their experience?
I think Luke said it as well, and then Grissa. My girls prefer to be at school than at home. They want to be. They ask. My youngest one is already asking on Friday if she's going to school tomorrow, and I tell her no. And you see that little face of disappointment. She just genuinely likes the atmosphere. She's in first grade. She loves her first grade teacher. She loves her classmates. She's there for. Both kids are there for so long, and the fact that after a long day with the same group of people, that they still can want to continue being there, it's showing me, it's not telling me that that they feel comfortable, that they're feeling all the emotional and psychological support that they need to feel nurtured, to feel safe, to learn, to be just genuinely happy. And I get that from both girls. My fourth grader does that, but she's got more homework, so maybe she doesn't mind being home instead. I mean, she doesn't want to do as much schoolwork, but she does love it as well. She's got a great team of teachers as well in fourth grade, and all the other teachers, her science teacher, she loves art. She just, we can't get her out of the art shop. She prefers to be in the art shop instead of at recess. So it's very nurturing, and I can tell because they ask to be there. They look forward to be there. The mornings are I don't have a hard time getting them up out of bed and getting them to school. They want to look cute, they want to be ready, they want to make sure that their homework is done. And it's genuine.
Yeah. Yeah. I can tell that the way you speak about their experience and all of those specials classes too, that we really keep core as part of our program. So thank you for your insight. I wanted to transition really quick to Julie. I know that everyone on this call all give back to Foothill in different ways, but this year Julie is our BWO president. That means she's our parent volunteer president on our parent volunteer council, and really helps organize the volunteer efforts throughout the school. So Julie, can you talk a little bit about that role and different opportunities for parents to volunteer at Foothill?
Yeah, so I actually started way back in the day at Seedling. I was volunteering here and there, but then in kindergarten, I got the opportunity to be a room parent. And that was so much fun. We decorated doors, we gathered events, we helped out in the classroom. Um, we were just doing like all sorts of fun things. And then I continued to be room parent for second and third grade. And then last year I worked on BWO with Grissa. And then this year, I'm very honored to be the BWO president. And it's just been a really meaningful experience. It's such a special experience to be able to give back to our community in ways that are like either super big or super small. So, we will do like all of Teacher Appreciation Week, which is a huge project. But what I think is so exciting about that is everyone shows up. We had, when we were running roses, we had 30 volunteers coming and tying ribbons on roses and putting roses in vases. And when we do desserts of gratitude, you see everyone just showing up, giving desserts, moving desserts. So I think what it really is there's a really important way for everyone to contribute it, no matter how big or how small, right? And what I find is that volunteers will carve out time in their day, whether it be before school or during their lunch at work or after work or late into the evening, crafting things, making things, or giving their entire mornings at Foothill to volunteer at the library. There's just opportunities abound. And Foothill has been so welcoming of what parents are and other community members are able to give to the school. And I think what makes our school so special is that parents genuinely want to give back in any way that they possibly can. So whether it's like assembling things or event planning or helping the library, there's so many ways you can give back. And I think what I really love most about it is getting to know everyone in the community a little bit better because of volunteering. I get to know teachers and faculty and staff a lot better on a more meaningful level. I get to work with other parents and get to know them, and that's always fun. And most importantly, I get to know the kids, which I think is so fun because I get to see their personalities. And like with Paulina, I've known her since she was like this little, and now she's like, a preteen basically. And it's just really cool to see these little babies grow up to be, basically adults during our time here. So I just love being part of a community and giving back in as much way as I can.
Wow. Thank you so much for that answer. And if you're watching this on YouTube, I want you to know if you'd like to connect with any of these parents on this call, we're happy to do that. So we have some great parent ambassadors here. And with that, I'd like to transition again back to Luke because Luke, you're slowly but surely coming to the end of your time at Foothill Country Day School. And we recognize too that families are making a significant commitment to coming to Foothill. And that is a decision families don't take lightly. We don't take lightly. But, now that you have a son that's graduated and your youngest daughter in 8th grade, when you look back at this commitment, is there something that stands out to you particularly about this experience and what made it worth it for you and your family?
Yeah, gosh, I mean, it's so hard to say because I have so many, as we listen to all the parents talk about their experience, I mean, I share in the same feelings and experiences that they have. I will say, yes, my son Jack is a 9th grader at Polytechnic in Pasadena. He graduated Foothill last year. His sister's in 8th grade right now, and we're thinking about what high school she'll go to. And naturally, I just think that, probably the best way to answer that is to just tell you that I feel so, I mean, I want to give, like, my wife and I do this. We're very conscious about this. We like say we're going to pat ourselves on our back because we made the choice to send our kids to Foothill. Our kids are incredibly well prepared for their journey to high school, especially one as rigorous as Polytechnic. And then college beyond. I think Foothill, and I learned this during the pandemic. Um, my son Jack was a 4th grader during the pandemic. And watching his friends in other schools probably suffer a little bit, whereas Jack, the school struck up a fantastic online program. We have very talented teachers at Foothill who are motivated, they are passionate. This is something they take a lot of pride in. And they felt at that time, as they do today, that it's their mission to prepare our children for the next step. And so, I know that my children have gone through an incredibly warm and loving, safe school, but also one that's demanding with rigor. and they have a significant competitive edge versus students in other schools in going to high school. And so, you know, that's probably the easiest way to answer it. It's sort of a big picture answer, but you know, there's just so many things. One thing I didn't answer about why we chose Foothill, and I want to make sure that I answer it, is, you know, in the world today, it's not just about academic rigor, right? It's also about, do you have the social skills to network and collaborate? This is our world today. Can you navigate high pressure social situations? And when we were at Seedling and I was in, you know, we took a look at Foothill, I was seeing children speaking on really interesting topics in front of the entire school.
Mm-hmm.
And public speaking, you know, I didn't learn how to I'm an executive at Disney. I didn't learn how to public speak until about 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And my children are going through my children, one of which, the ninth grader, is a bit of an introvert, but he has no concern, no stage fright whatsoever. And he has the academic rigor behind him to deliver a really fascinating remarks in front of the entire school. And every child does that and learns those skills. I mean, that's just one example of what they walk away with. Again, we thank God for giving us the ability and the means to be able to go to Foothill, but you know, we made the right decision, and I'm just very proud of that.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that, and for all of the years that your family has given back to Foothill. And it's been such a joy to see them grow in the school as well. So with that, I'm going to hand it back to Ann Henry. I think we had a final question from the audience before we ask our last round of the current parents.
We did. We had just one more question, and that question could be to any of you, because I know you'll all have an answer here. Maybe everybody can give us a short one. The question is, do you have any advice for prospective parents as they're looking for a new school? And I would add on to that remember, some of these parents might have a 4-year-old. So that's in the rearview mirror for most of you. But now that you can have a little 2020 hindsight, can you share what advice you might have as they look for a new school?
I mean,
Jennifer, let's start with you.
I don't know. So a silly tip would be visit towards the end of the day, so you see how the kids are towards the end of the day, and you kind of see how they're feeling, because that's, you know, that's the reality of what it is. So visiting school towards the end of the day, see how the kids are doing, and then you're seeing that interaction of families picking up. And for me, that was kind of one of the tips of what I saw at Seedling in selecting my school, or our school, this school. And also keep in mind, of course, we talk about academics and about how this is a place for our kids and how the teachers help them. But part of the community also is the community that we parents are building. And you guys know that I talk a lot to Julie and to the teachers, but it's a friendship. It's a community that I'm building with Julie. It's going to be for 10+ years also. And she's like, you know, the amount of time that my kids see her is probably more than what they'll see their aunts and uncles or cousins and stuff. So they are an extended family. So we are investing in our extended family as well. That's going beyond the classroom. And so it's something to definitely observe and consider as well.
Thank you. Grissa, do you have any advice?
I remembered last 2 weeks ago, I had a tour with Clay with a new family. This is their first time to be in the campus, but they just really, really love it because they feel they are very welcoming and very inclusive, and that they feel like Foothill is just such a warm family for the kids and all the parents and the teachers together. So I just want to say Foothill is the best choice for us.
Oh, thank you. I mean, it is important to visit though, right? I mean, I know I didn't when I first came to Foothill as a staff member even, it was such a beautiful surprise to arrive on campus and see how the kids actually are in action. So I know we'll have some of those opportunities later on in the year as we get closer to admission season, but visiting is a big deal. So we encourage everyone to take that tour and make sure that you come and see the kids. I think you'll be surprised.
Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe then, Anne, should I go to our final question for everyone?
Yep.
Yeah. So first of all, we want to say again, thank you so much to our current parents for taking the time to chat with us, and for our prospective families on the call for again logging on a Wednesday evening. If you're watching us on YouTube or on our social media, we highly recommend that you contact us to get that tour planned, or to connect with anyone in our community. But as our final question, we did want to ask our current parents, you know, there's only so much you can take away from a tour or from a conversation. And so, as we end this call, is there something important about the Foothill program or our culture that you want to make sure prospective families know?
I think you'll be surprised at the quality and the context of the conversations you'll be having with your kids in comparison to other schools. They're not conversations I was having at their age, but they're a little more sophisticated than I expected, and heartfelt as well.
Thank you.
I think the emphasis on diversity, and I think Luke touched on this earlier, is so important. And this was really a meaningful point for me because Foothill really cherishes diversity and celebrates so many cultures. We just had the community celebration for Diwali. I know we have Dia de los Muertos coming up. So, really celebrating everyone's background is so exciting to see. And the student body at Foothill is so diverse. And, my son learns things about Islam and things about Hinduism, and Lunar New Year that stuff I did not know, well into my 20s, I would even say. So I think it's so exciting to see that. And it's so great that Foothill really cherishes the diversity of the student body and the world around us. And it really, helps the students be well-rounded and educated.
Thank you.
One thing I would like to mention is about William. William is the younger kids. I think he is a COVID baby. He's very shy. He is always shy to talk with everyone. But just like Luke mentioned, I like the Seedling. They changed William a lot. Now William is a very social boy, very talkative and very playful. So I think it's really, really important to have a safe community for our kids like Foothill.
If I could just offer one something that I've learned in the process that we just went through with our son in choosing a high school, similar to the same process that you might be doing in looking at an elementary school, and that is sort of what Colette alluded to, and that is you really do need to go see them, just like you would for colleges. We did it for high school. We looked in Pasadena. We looked locally here. We looked in Orange County. I think the goal of that is to obviously, get to know it and understand its mission, but also to understand the people and the culture. But at the end of the day, right, they're all going to be, most of what you see probably is a very good school. It's about fit. And you need to have a place where your son or daughter feels at home, and you'll know it probably right away. We knew it right away for our son in high school. We knew it right away when we were at Seedling looking at Foothill. And we did look at a number of other schools and daycare and preschools and so forth in Claremont. And you'll know it right away. And I would suggest that Foothill will do that for you, but I encourage you to visit.
That is a great note to end on because we hope everyone on this call or watching us on our YouTube page, the next step is to fill out an inquiry form so that we could have you come to campus and experience us in real time. And if you are interested in hearing from our preschool, the Seedling School, we will have our director and some of our administrators on the call next week, next Wednesday. We hope you join us. After that, we'll be hearing from our K2 teachers, our 3rd through 5th grade teachers, and our 6th grade, 8th grade teachers. We'll round out this panel series with hearing from our current students and an alum. So we hope you're able to join us. And if not, you'll be able to access these recordings at the end of the year. And so with that, a big thank you. Thank you so much, Luke and Jennifer, Julie and Carissa, for all of your important feedback. And thank you, Anne Henry, for helping co-lead this panel with me. We hope you have a great evening. Good night, everyone.
Thank you. Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.